Hello, everyone, and welcome again to Working Class Australia, number 43. And this is the first live for 2023. Well, I haven't done a live for quite some time now. I had promised to do so in the past, but look, last year was very incredibly busy. Well, my workload increased big time, and I just generally didn't have the time to do one of these. Obviously, I continued doing those lives during the year with Dust, but yeah, however, and maybe a few interviews elsewhere, but just to actually sit down and designate some time to do these, I just didn't have enough. I was actually burning both ends of the candle. We had a lot of things happening, especially within the union movement as well over the course of, especially the course of last year. A lot of disputes, a lot of EBAs, and consequently also a lot of long days as well. So I was doing anything up to 14, 16-hour days. It was pretty horrendous. Anyway, I'm on break. I've been on break now. This is my third week. Needed to do so. I'm back to work next Monday. So just give me the opportunity to actually do a short live. It's not going to be terribly too long. I'm not going to be here for like an hour or so. It's probably be lucky to be half an hour. But there has been an interesting year, no doubt, besides being the busy side. There's been a lot happening throughout the world for us here in Australia as well. We know we're not immune to any of the world events as well, and certainly very concerning when the US is up in the ante now with China and Russia, and it's put Australia basically in the crosshairs, and it's not a really good position to be in. And actually, this is actually one of the announcements I have. There is a vigil next Tuesday, I think at 5 o'clock, 5:30, outside the US consulate there in Melbourne. I will share the screen. Just give me a moment. I will share this screen. I'll see how we go this time. Share screen. Okay. Microsoft Edge. That's what I want. And I want this. And I shall share it. Aha. There we go. It is on. Oh, let me close those messages up first. That's better. It is on at 5:30 to 6:30, and the address is on 553 St Kilda Road, Melbourne. That's where the US consulate is, and it's set up by Anti-War Victoria, which has just been recently formed. I am now part of that as well. It's genuinely anti-imperialist, anti-war. We do not want Australia to be involved in any conflict with Russia or China at all. It would be not in our interests at all. And fact is, we would just turn Australia into a complete hellhole, and it's a hellscape, and there's just no way we get out of anything like that scot-free. So we believe actually Australia should be military and independently neutral everywhere and have peaceful relations with all countries around the world, not be on the US war footing all the time. So there it is. Write it down in the notes. I've actually included in the descriptions below, with the links in the description below with that, if you're in further detail, but to any of the Victorian comrades there from the Eureka Collective or elsewhere, feel free to turn up. We certainly would be good to have that vigil. We need to get things kicked off here in Australia. I obviously see the Sydney one is in the process of being organised at the moment, possibly maybe over the weekend or the following weekend. We'll soon to know those dates for the Sydney one. Well, another thing that's been interesting over of course the last 3 weeks, I've had the opportunity to do some reading as well, and I just wanted to actually bring this to your attention. Less Sucks about overpopulation, eugenics, and degrowth by Peter Coffin. I've included Peter Coffin's YouTube channel in the description below. That includes the actual 2 hour. It's a 2 hour documentary in relation to Malthusians and how we've got the whole degrowth agenda. How we all have to tighten our belts and basically live a life in poverty and basically disappear as well. And I'm just going to read the back of it because it's a very interesting book, because this affects us as well here in Australia. It goes, we've all grown up with the understanding that things are limited and that we can't always get what we want. So the more of us, the less everyone gets, right? Thomas Robert Malthus was the most popular theorist behind this thinking, which follows a lineage that can be traced through the many horrible sets of logic that have been behind many of humanity's most heinous deeds. So was he correct? Well, no. History has proven him wrong again and again. With Less Sucks, Peter Coffin traces that lineage to today's degrowth movement, shutting down Malthusianism once and for all. And it's only a short read, it doesn't take long, and it's really a really good one, and it just gives you an overall idea of what Malthusian is and the whole degrowth agenda, which is funded by multinational big business. Some very wealthy people are behind this, who actually pretty much believe we should be have a major depopulation program for the whole entire planet. So basically, like people like you and I, many people in the developing nations and that should die off altogether and reduce the population down to three quarters, half the population what it is now. And that is it's a sinister ideology. It's the Nazis used it, British Empire used it, even today the American imperialism used it. You'd be surprised who's behind all this as well. The royal family is another one. You just recently saw the quote from Harry about his time in Afghanistan, how he actually treated Afghans as pawns in a chess game, and that's their view of what they think about you and I. They wish us to die, and that's just their way to resolve any crisis of capitalism and its effects on the environment, its populations, countries, etc. So this is. Certainly, I highly recommend this. You can order it. I recommend actually watching Peter Coffin's YouTube video on this. It goes just for over 2 hours. Very informative, very well researched, and also if this gets to Peter Coffin, look, well done. That's fantastic work you've done there, and many others have actually helped him put that together as well. Well done, and I think it's highly recommended, and I think he's got the link to this book as well. Otherwise, you can just type it in Google, and I'm sure it'll send you to the various book suppliers. You can order it online that way. And it's interesting, he quotes also out of this book. This is what poem Fascism and Social Revolution. I highly recommend that. Just Google it, you can order it. And this little quotation's got helps me put my glasses on for a minute. It is, sorry, Pete, but this was a tiny font here. Overpopulation, like the stimulus overproduction, is only relative to the capitalist conditions of production. This reactionary and vicious propaganda conceals under the cover of obsolete superstitions the true social causes of poverty and misery. And that's from Rajani Palmdutt out of this book's quoted as well. So if you want to look at it into this a lot further detail, this is a highly recommended book. I've actually made marks where I've had to reference a few things out of it at times, and I think if people understand what fascism is, this goes into greater detail. I know Georgy Dimitrov, I know you wrote the book Against War and Fascism in the 1930s, and that's an excellent book as well. And yes, I would highly recommend reading that. And it sets the outline of what fascism is. But this is fantastic, and it shows you the whole degrowth agenda and the fascist ideology that's behind it as well. And this is what the ruling elites have got the plan for us and the whole entire planet. So get on to that. Bit into reading. I highly recommend it in the future, because I'm quite open to have a study on it, online study, if anyone wishes to. Now, the other thing that's been going on last year, we've obviously all the ups and downs of last year. Originally, we started a study group here, and obviously wanted to develop a think tank as well. Well, it's all evolved in its own natural way, and called the Eureka Collective, and that link is there below. We have the comrades have actually together one video so far, so I highly recommend get on to liking the YouTube channel. There is discussions. I'm led to believe that it's going to be making some more YouTube videos on that, and also too we're on Twitter as well. There's obviously a very big information war out there. It's huge, and we're now part of that. We're counteracting a lot of mistruths, or actually basically lies and propaganda, especially for those of us here in Australia. It is relative for us here in Australia. So any common people out there, if you're interested, have a look what we've got to say as well, both on the Twitter and also watch that first video we've got up there on YouTube. It's we want to really give this a particular Australian perspective. It is very unique. We've been accused of being front for something else, and another YouTube, and all sorts of names, but we're not. We're our very own unique thing. It's developed that way, and also a lot of big shout out to all the comrades in the Eureka Collective. You're doing some fantastic work. But actually, just on that, I think it's Thursday night, but it'd be our Friday here in Australia. We've got a public nuisance who's grotesque, disgusting, and outright disturbing. Drew Pavlo, he will be in debate with us from Infrared. I'm actually going to be looking forward to that and seeing Drew is slaughtered big time because I think he deserves it. He's anti-China. He's actually anti-Australian as well for some unknown reason, figuring he was born here. He's just an obnoxious, disgusting, disturbing, grotesque, horrible person that needs to be completely destroyed. And that's how I feel about it. And if people disagree with that, tough. He is. He's just a turd. And I've really got no time for people like that as well. So there you go. That's how I view it. So look, go on to that, watch that. Be quite interesting as well. And I think we're going to have a great form of entertainment. Now, following as well, we're just going back to that vigil about no wars and war against Russia and China. We also want to actually point out, I'll put some interesting links there below to refer to people for more reference, some really great material around what's happening in Ukraine and also what's globally around with geopolitics. Scott Ritter, former US Marine, I believe he was a major, former weapons inspector, really knows his stuff. I highly recommend going to his YouTube channel. Brings you up to speed. I believe he's on Telegram as well. Read it. It really brings you up to date and gives you real perspective. The mainstream media will not report any actual facts about it. They're just one-sided, horrible. I hardly watch it now. I've got no time for it. I don't even watch the ABC News anymore. SBS, but they're far gone anyway. They're the liberal arm of imperialism. So that's their liberal mouthpiece for imperialism. So I'm not going to have any time for them whatsoever. So that's already news like that with Scott Ritter gives you up to date, really down to earth, knows his stuff. You can't argue against people who've had this experience, and anyone that is an ex-service who served in the military would quite quickly understand what's truly going on as well. Garland Nixon's next. I love Garland Nixon bits. He also is on. He's also got something on Sputnik Radio, The Critical Hour with Dr. Wilma Leon. Excellent radio show, but Garland Nixon's got his very own YouTube channel. I believe he's on Rockfin as well with extra content because there's certain content you can't show on YouTube. Unfortunately, YouTube then will just suspend their account and shut it down altogether, and then they have to go for a whole process of trying to organise trying to organise your reboot the YouTube channel. Sorry, I just got jumbled words. That's how I recommend viewing that. But for Australian viewers, especially Garland Nixon, I highly recommend that. Very informative, and he does his research. And last but not least, the legendary George Galloway in the UK. He does his mother of all talk shows, both on a Sunday evening and a Wednesday evening in UK time. That would be a Monday morning and Thursday morning our time. Very informative stuff. I love his style as well. He's been around for many, many, many years. Had both the political, industrial life experience you can talk about, and I think he's had that. He's a genuine guy, and actually, he highly recommends listeners to phone in as well. He does give those numbers, but I'll put that just into the description as well. Watch his shows, the mother of all talk shows, University of the Airwave. I actually enjoy listening to George. Also enjoyed I also love when George rips someone an arsehole, another arsehole as well when they get something completely wrong. Fantastic, and it's quite entertaining as well. So this is proper media. This is the proper stuff that should be taught to us, not this mainstream media. Not how the mainstream media performs, because in Australia it's pretty pathetic here as well. So just giving you some alternatives out there. It's easily accessible. I would say RT and Sputnik as well. However, I understand it's hard to get at times. I'm actually able to access it. But look, if any Australians out there need to access stuff, just change your VPN and you can actually be able to access it that way as well. I think they might have relaxed a few things, but these are alternative medias. I also recommend China Global Television Network and Global Times as well if you want more in depth about what's happening in China, not the ABC version of what we're attending there. And now, just a quick shout out to everyone. Yes, welcome, Kinky. It's great to have you on board with us as well. And obviously, we're watching Caleb a lot and many other shows together. And I'd actually like to get to the US and meet some of your comrades to let me in. So that's something I've got planned for the long term. I eventually would like to meet with a lot of comrades over there and just generally sit down and have enjoy your company and have some great discussions in that as well. Actually, just on that, there is an American comrade out there. I did promise, and I'll still keep the promise. He knows who he is. I will shout him a beer. He made an excellent post on Twitter ages back, and I sent him a message. I'm going to shout you a beer. I really want to sit down and have a beer with that young guy. I think well done to it. It's quite funny. If I can go back, I'll try and find it. But it was fantastic. So if he happens to tune in, we'll come across it. I'm still going to uphold that promise. Just keep messaging me one day. I will shout him that. And also too, we need critical thinking. Big shout out to you as well. Thanks, mate, for joining us. Much appreciated. Look, guys, so I'm not going to do a terribly long stream today. I'm still on holiday, but we're back in Bendigo now. We've got to do a few things as well, and I'm back to work on Monday. But obviously, reflecting on back what happened last year as well, as it's been incredibly busy, incredibly hard time for a lot of people as well, both economically and on the world level as well. It's good to it's refreshing to see that workers are now in our respecting the Anglosphere are prepared to fight back. Both in the UK and I believe in America as well. But here in Australia, I've also got a comment where workers are prepared to take up a fight. Now, they've had enough. We've had enough of 40 years of neoliberal global shit thrown down our throats and just where everything is. And I think workers want to live. They want to survive. Or more than just survive, yes, they want to live and generally have genuine and quality lives. And they get something, and then going back to that book, Less Sucks, which flies in the face of that, that book doesn't. Let me rephrase that. I do apologise. I stuffed that up completely. Let me just say that Malthusian does fly in the face of workers trying to improve their situations and move forward. It is refreshing to see that now workers are prepared to have a fight. I believe there was just a recent strike in the US, the railway strike over there. Look, it was deplorable what happened. Workers didn't gain anything out of that, but I think actually some big lessons learned from that. And I'm going to advise all workers, do not put your faith in any of the major parties at all. They're imperial parties. They're not Marxist parties at all. And they might give you a few crumbs, but look, they'll obviously have the knife in the other hand to stab you in the back. And I think with the railway strike over there, really, I think what needs to happen there is a strategy, develop a proper strategy, develop that. And also help workers, one, realise what power they do have, and they do have the power. Workers stop work, production stops. And that's as simple as that, and that's where it's going to hurt the hip pocket of the capitalist. But that's obviously a long-term thing. That's something for the American comrades and fellow workers over there. They need to sort that out and work that out themselves. I'm not going to tell them what to do, but look, they can look at classic examples. For example, what happened with the jailing of the tramways leader Clary O'Shea in 1969, when there was a long-term strategy to bust the penal powers and the penal codes against workers going on strike, improving their lot. And obviously, when we were actually close to Australia everywhere that came to a general strike across the country, but made those laws obsolete, redundant. They couldn't use it, and it put the workers throughout the 1970s on the front foot. And they realised the power, the immense power they had, and they were on the front foot, improving their conditions, which obviously a lot of conditions we do enjoy today was because of that. So that's a lot. That's just something, just a little bit of my view on it. Obviously, that's something for, as I said, you guys in the US need to work that through. There's a question. What are prices going up a lot in Australia, and for things that need? Hang on, let me show the question. Works. Are prices going up a lot in Australia, and for what things? Everything, or certain things, or more? Everything. Everything, mate. Obviously, prices haven't gone down at all. Look, the basic stuff, food, groceries, etc., utilities, all prices are going up even, and still what was actually interesting, they said, how house prices have gone down. Probably are on the verge of actually collapsing because there's such an artificial market out there, or artificial inflatedly priced up. It's probably due to happen. But look, I'm not going to wait for the day that happens. I have to keep moving forward. But look, they are going a lot up here in Australia. Cost of fuel, same thing. I know. Look, just for those of you in America, we don't use gallons. We use the metric system where you go by litres. Look, you could be paying anything up to $2 a litre, just give or take, just roughly. And that'll be equivalent to about I think about $9 a gallon for us here in Australia. So just roughly speaking, so I wouldn't be surprised it's very also dissimilar over there as well. However, look, there is a big push. People have had enough. I think this is the part of the thing. What I've seen, a lot of people hadn't been able to actually afford a lot of stuff for Christmas. I believe actually there was a interesting poll that went out, and I know George Galloway put one out, but also there was someone else said about how much people are going to be affording over Christmas, and a lot of people are saying a lot less now. They just go, they've had to tighten their belts and use that money for hopefully save whatever they can for a rainy day. It's disgusting. We look at the price of meat, and obviously, look, it's not because there's a world shortage of meat, there's too much of it, but because the markets are not there to sell Australian meat overseas. So what do? They destroy it and then create this artificial shortage and constantly put the prices up even more. That's just one example. There's apparently a chicken shortage, there's apparently an egg shortage now. There's apparently a shortage this, and this. And then when I see there's abundance of produce in the supermarkets, I think, well, hang on, what's going on here? So. And it goes back to the old saying, it's people go hungry because there's too much food, and that's just the system where we live under capitalism, imperialism. So yes, look, I don't need to preach to you guys about that. I think very much those the hardened viewers, a core set of viewers would understand that. However, yes, they are going up here a lot, and it's not so dissimilar what's happening around the world as well. Regardless of what your country is, we are trying to do that. And actually, just on that prices, just last year, before Christmas, I know the federal government was trying to put a cap on gas prices. Let's just see how that pans out as well, because instead of actually calling for the nationalisation of our gas resources and that, which would actually fundamentally bring the price of natural gas down for us and making sure Australia does have a reserved gas supply for itself, they decided to put the federal government put a lid on it. Let's just see how that pans out, because you're up against the Chevrons of the world, Shell, Exxon, you name it, all those colourful, cheerful multinational fuel companies, and the big banks as well, who are just as equally cheerful and friendly and loving, caring and sharing and deep meaningful. So that's something it'll be interesting to see how that pans out. But a lot more has to be done than just putting a cap on it. It really needs to take things further from nationalisation of key industries right through to actually getting things back under control to a centralised planned economy. But on that, we can all have that wishful thinking, but we need to have the force of people to get that fundamental change right through as well. So, yeah, look, it is going up. It's not a good scene as well. But going back to it as well, if what I was saying, with workers are prepared to have a go out there, I think they're going to be the fundamental force of change of the workers themselves. So, common, ordinary working people, and I think if they're prepared to have a fight back at the workplace, well, it's going to be good to see them outside in the community as well. Let's just see how things pan out. At the moment, it is the start of the year. Still, already a lot is happening. Well, I'm going to end it there, guys. It's only I've just gone over there 20 minutes. I was expecting up to about half an hour at the very most. I don't want to brag on and on and on. I don't want to pester you all that. But look, it was a fantastic little time to do so, to actually catch up. Look, please like my YouTube channel. Feel free to share and wide. I will actually want to sit down and do a proper course on how to do this, do a lot more better presentations. But because, as I said, I do have a busy life. It's just a matter of trying to get the time to do so. So, look, thank you once again. Thank you, comrades, for sharing in. I know I've had a small audience tonight, but that's fine. Or this morning, night time over in Europe and the US. But, however, I will try and effort to do a few more over the course of the next few months. All right. Thank you, everyone. All the best.